The confession. The cathedral was a monument to excess. White roses climbed every column, their perfume thick enough to choke on. Afternoon light streamed through stained glass, painting the marble floors in fractured rainbows. 200 guests whispered in designer suits and borrowed diamonds, waiting for the ceremony that would unite two corporate dynasties. Lila Hayes stood in the vestibule, adjusting her bridesmaid dress for the third time. The emerald silk felt wrong against her skin. Everything about this day felt wrong. Through the crack in the door, she could see him. Damien Cross stood at the altar in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her yearly salary. His jaw was set, his hands clasped behind his back like a soldier awaiting orders. He looked every bit the billionaire heir the tabloids obsessed over. Untouchable, unreachable. 3 years. 3 years she'd worked as his executive assistant, managing his impossible schedule, learning the way he took his coffee, memorizing the tells that signaled when stress cracked through his perfect facade. 3 years of telling herself the tightness in her chest every morning was just anxiety about the workload. "You look like you're about to be sick." Lila turned. Victoria Ashford, the bride, stood behind her in a gown that belonged in a museum. Ivory silk and antique lace, a dress worth more than Lila's childhood home. Victoria's smile was kind, which somehow made everything worse. "Just nervous," Lila managed. "Big day. The biggest." Victoria touched her arm gently. "Thank you for being here. I know Damien values you. He says you're the only person who actually understands him." The words landed like shrapnel. Lila forced her lips into something resembling a smile. "He's easy to work for." "Liar." Victoria's laugh was warm. "He's impossible. But you make it look effortless." The wedding planner appeared, clipboard in hand. "Miss Ashford, it's time." Lila took her position in the processional line. Her hands trembled as she gripped the bouquet of white peonies. The music swelled. The doors opened. She walked down the aisle on autopilot, her heels clicking against marble. Damien's eyes found hers for a split second. Something flickered across his face. Recognition. Pain. Then his mask slammed back into place. Lila took her spot at the altar. The bridesmaids filed in behind her. The music changed to the wedding march. Victoria appeared in the doorway, ethereal and radiant. The guests rose. Cameras flashed. Damien's face went white. The priest began. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to witness the union of Damien Alexander Cross and Victoria Marie Ashford in holy matrimony." Lila's vision blurred. She focused on breathing, in, out. Don't cry. Don't scream. Don't run. If anyone here has reason why these two should not be wed, speak now or forever hold your peace. The silence was absolute. Then Damien spoke. "I do." The cathedral erupted. Gasps rippled through the crowd like a shockwave. Victoria's bouquet slipped from her fingers, white roses scattering across the marble. Damien turned to face Victoria, his voice raw. "I'm sorry. God, Victoria, I'm so sorry. But I can't do this." "Damien." Victoria's face crumbled. "What are you saying?" He looked past her, directly at Lila. "I'm in love with someone else." The world stopped spinning. Lila's bouquet fell. Time stretched impossibly thin. Damien crossed the altar in 3 strides. His hands found her face, tilting her chin up. His eyes were storm gray and desperate. "It's you," he whispered, loud enough for everyone to hear. "It's always been you." "Damien, don't," her voice broke. "You can't just—" "I love you, Lila Hayes. I've loved you since the day you told me my merger proposal was short-sighted and arrogant. I've loved you through every late night, every impossible deadline, every moment I pretended not to notice how beautiful you are when you think no one's watching. This isn't real." Tears streamed down her face. "You're marrying Victoria. You're supposed to—" "I don't want supposed to." His forehead pressed against hers. "I want you." Behind them, Victoria's sob echoed through the cathedral. The sound shattered something in Lila's chest. She pulled away from Damien, her hands shaking. "You just destroyed her in front of 200 people." "I know." "You humiliated her. Broke her heart." "For what? For me?" "Yes." Lila stepped back, her heel catching on the altar steps. She nearly fell. Damien reached for her, but she twisted away. "I need to go." "Lila, wait." She ran. Through the gasping crowd, past the frozen photographer, out the cathedral doors into blinding sunlight. Her car was 3 blocks away. She kicked off her heels and ran barefoot across scorching pavement. Behind her, she heard Damien calling her name. She didn't stop. Her phone buzzed as she reached her car. A text from an unknown number. "You have no idea what you've just cost him. Or what's coming for you both." Lila's blood went cold. She looked back at the cathedral. Damien stood on the steps, still in his wedding suit, watching her with an expression that looked like grief. Then the first gunshot split the air. The reckoning. The bullet shattered the stained glass window behind Damien's head. Colored shards rained down like deadly confetti. Screams erupted from inside the cathedral. Lila froze beside her car, keys digging into her palm. Time slowed to a crawl. She watched Damien dive behind a stone pillar, his wedding suit collecting dust and debris. Training kicked in before thought did. The self-defense classes her father insisted she take after college. The way her brother taught her to assess threats before panicking. She scanned the street. A black SUV idled 2 blocks down, engine running. No plates, tinted windows, wrong. Another shot. This one hit the pavement 3 feet from where she stood, sending up a spray of concrete chips. "Lila, get down." Damien was running toward her, zigzagging between parked cars. His face was twisted with fear, not for himself, but for her. That look told her everything she needed to know. This wasn't random. She threw herself into her car as a third shot punctured her rear windshield. Glass exploded inward. She tasted blood where a fragment cut her lip. Damien wrenched open the passenger door and dove inside. "Drive, now. Who's shooting at us?" "Drive first. Questions later." Lila's hands shook as she jammed the key into the ignition. The engine roared to life. She floored the accelerator, tires screaming against asphalt. The SUV pulled out behind them. "Take the next left," Damien ordered, his voice eerily calm. He was checking his phone, fingers flying across the screen. "You want to tell me what's happening? You know the Ashford family builds medical equipment?" "Obviously. That's the public story." Damien braced himself as she took a sharp turn. "The real money comes from military contracts. Weapons systems. Defense technology they're not supposed to be selling to certain buyers." Lila's stomach dropped. "And you were going to marry into that?" "I was going to expose it." His jaw tightened. "I've been working with federal investigators for 6 months. The wedding was my cover. Get close to Victoria. Gain access to her father's files. Bring down the entire operation." "You're a liar." The words tasted like ash. "You used her." "Yes." The honesty was somehow worse than a lie would have been. Lila's grip on the steering wheel tightened until her knuckles went white. "What about me?" Her voice cracked. "Was that part of your cover too? The big dramatic confession?" "No." Damien turned to face her, his gray eyes blazing. "That was the one true thing I've done in 6 months." The SUV rammed them from behind. Lila's head snapped forward, then back. Pain exploded through her neck. "They're trying to run us off the road," Damien said, too calm. "Head for the industrial district. Lose them in the warehouses. I'm an executive assistant, not a stunt driver. You're also the woman I just confessed my love to in front of 200 witnesses and a senator. So right now you're a target, another impact." Lila fought to keep the car on the road. Her mind raced. The text message. "You have no idea what you've just cost him. The Ashfords sent them," she said. "Probably. They're going to kill us, probably. And you thought stopping your wedding to declare your love was a good idea?" Damien actually smiled, sharp and bitter. "I thought living another day pretending I didn't love you would kill me anyway. At least this way, I get to die honest." That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. "I'm a billionaire. We're not known for emotional intelligence." Despite everything, despite the terror and the gunfire and the shattered glass cutting into her shoulders, Lila laughed. It came out half sob, half hysteria. She took the turn into the industrial district on 2 wheels. The warehouses rose around them like concrete tombstones, most abandoned, graffiti-covered, perfect for losing a tail, or perfect for an ambush. The SUV was gaining. Lila spotted an alley between 2 warehouses, barely wide enough for her sedan. "Hold on," she warned. She cranked the wheel hard. The car scraped through the narrow gap, mirrors shattering against brick walls. Behind them, the SUV tried to follow and got stuck, its wider frame wedged between buildings. Lila didn't slow down until they'd put 3 more blocks between themselves and their pursuers. Finally, she pulled into an abandoned parking garage, killed the engine, and sat trembling in the sudden silence. "I think I'm going to be sick," she whispered. Damien reached over, his hand covering hers. His palm was warm, solid, real. "I'm sorry," he said. "For all of it. For lying to Victoria. For putting you in danger. For waiting 3 years to tell you the truth." "Which truth?" Lila pulled her hand away. "That you love me? Or that loving you might get me killed?" "Both." She turned to face him. His perfect suit was ruined, his hair disheveled, his face smudged with dust and blood from a cut above his eyebrow. He looked more human than she'd ever seen him. "What now?" she asked. "Now we run. I have a safe house, offshore accounts, new identities prepared. We can disappear, start over somewhere the Ashfords can't reach us. And Victoria? Your investigation? Burned. The moment I said your name at that altar. I burned every bridge I had." Lila studied his face, searching for regret. She found none. "You threw away everything," she said slowly. "Your company. Your reputation. Your chance to take down a criminal empire. For me? Yes. That's insane. Probably. I should hate you. You should. I don't." The confession tore out of her like a confession of its own. "I should, but I don't. I've loved you for 3 years, Damien. 3 years of watching you with her, telling myself I was being professional, that what I felt wasn't real. And now you're sitting here telling me it was real for you too, and people are trying to kill us because of it." Damien's hand found her face, thumb brushing away a tear she hadn't realized had fallen. "Then come with me," he whispered. "Run with me. We'll figure out the rest later." Lila closed her eyes. She thought about her apartment, her job, her careful, normal life, the life that had shattered the moment Damien said her name in that cathedral. "Okay," she breathed. His kiss tasted like copper and champagne, desperation and relief. Her hands fisted in his ruined suit, pulling him closer across the center console. When they broke apart, both breathless, Damien pressed his forehead to hers. "I promise I'll keep you safe. Don't make promises you can't keep." Her phone buzzed, a new text from the same unknown number. He killed someone to protect his secret. Ask him about Marcus Chen. Ask him what he did 2 years ago. Then decide if you still want to run with a murderer. Lila's blood turned to ice. "Damien," she said slowly. "Who's Marcus Chen?" The color drained from his face. The betrayal. The silence in the car pressed down like a physical weight. Outside, rain had started to fall, tapping against the cracked windshield in an irregular rhythm that matched Lila's racing heartbeat. Damien's face had gone carefully blank. The mask she'd seen him wear in boardrooms when negotiations went south. "Answer me," Lila said. Her voice sounded strange to her own ears, distant. "Who is Marcus Chen?" Was. Damien's correction was quiet. "Who is Marcus Chen? He's dead." The rain grew heavier. Thunder rumbled somewhere over the city. Lila's hands were still on the steering wheel, gripping it like an anchor. "Tell me." Damien stared out at the rain. When he spoke, his voice was hollow. Marcus Chen was an investigative journalist. 2 years ago, he was working on a story about the Ashford family's illegal weapons sales. He got too close. Started asking questions that would have exposed not just the Ashfords, but 6 other defense contractors and 3 senators. And he died. Care accident. Brake failure on a mountain road. Lila's stomach twisted. "Damien, did you—" "I didn't kill him." He turned to face her, and she saw something broken in his eyes. "But I knew it was going to happen. The Ashfords told me, warned me that anyone who threatened their operation would be dealt with. I could have warned Marcus, could have told him to back off, to run, to do anything except drive down that road. But you didn't. No." The word fell between them like a stone into water. "I didn't, because I was already planning my own investigation, already working with the FBI, and if I'd warned Marcus, if I'd shown my hand, the Ashfords would have known I was compromised. So you let him die? Yes. Lila closed her eyes. Nausea rolled through her in waves. You let an innocent man die to protect your cover. To protect the investigation. To eventually bring down an organization responsible for hundreds of deaths. Thousands, if you count the weapons that ended up in conflict zones. That's a rationalization. That's the truth. Both can be true. Lila opened her eyes, looked at him. Really looked at him. You're not a hero, Damien. You're just another player in a dirty game. I never said I was a hero. No. Bitterness crept into her voice. You said you loved me. Is that real? Or is this just another operation? Another cover story? Damien reached for her hand. She pulled away. Don't, she warned. Don't touch me right now. Lila, I know how this sounds. But what I feel for you has nothing to do with the Ashfords or the investigation or any of it. You're the only clean thing in my life. The only person who sees me without the lies. Except I didn't see you. I saw what you wanted me to see. The perfect boss. The tortured soul trapped in an arranged marriage. I made you into something you're not. You saw exactly who I am. His voice cracked. Someone trying to do the right thing and failing. Someone who's made terrible choices and has to live with them. Someone who fell in love with his assistant because she's the only person who makes him feel human. Lila wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him so badly it physically hurt. Her phone buzzed again. Another text. Check the trunk of his car. The one parked at the cathedral. Then ask yourself if you're running with him or from him. She showed Damien the message. He went very still. What's in your trunk? She asked. Lila. What's in your trunk, Damien? He looked away. Documents, evidence, everything I've collected on the Ashford operation. And a go bag. Cash, passports, weapons. Weapons. For protection. Whose protection? Her voice rose. Ours or yours? Were you planning this? The confession, the escape, all of it? No, yes. He ran his hands through his hair, frustrated. I had a contingency plan. If things went wrong, if I got exposed, I needed a way out. But I wasn't planning to use it. I was going through with the wedding. I was going to see the investigation through. Until I saw you standing at that altar and realized I couldn't do it. Couldn't marry Victoria. Couldn't spend one more day pretending. How convenient. Lila's laugh was sharp. Your conscience kicks in right when your investigation is falling apart anyway. What? Think about it. Someone's texting me your secrets. Someone knows about Marcus Chen. Someone's trying to kill us. Your cover was already blown, Damien. The wedding confession wasn't noble. It was an exit strategy. The truth of her own words hit her like a slap. Damien's face confirmed it. You used me, she whispered. I'm not the love of your life. I'm your escape plan. The sympathetic assistant who'd run away with you, help you disappear, give you cover while you figured out your next move. No. Lila, no, that's not. Stop lying. The scream tore out of her. Just once tell me the truth. Did you plan this? Damien's silence was answer enough. Lila grabbed her bag from the back seat. Her hands shook as she opened the car door. Where are you going? Damien's voice was raw with panic. Away from you. They'll kill you. The Ashfords, they think you're with me now. You're a liability. Then I'll go to the police. Tell them everything. You'll be dead before you reach the station. Lila paused, one foot out of the car. Rain soaked through her dress in seconds. Then I guess I'm dead either way. At least this way, I die with some dignity left. Lila, please. Damien's voice broke. I know I've lied about everything else, but what I feel for you is real. You have to believe me. She looked back at him. This man she'd loved for 3 years. This stranger wearing his face. I don't have to believe anything you say anymore. She slammed the door and walked into the rain. Behind her, she heard the car door open. Damien's footsteps splashing through puddles. Lila, wait. She didn't turn around. Didn't stop. Didn't look back. A van screeched around the corner. Black, unmarked, coming fast, too fast. Damien shouted her name. The van's side door slid open. Men in tactical gear. Guns raised. Lila ran. The first shot hit the ground beside her. The second hit something solid behind her. A wet, heavy sound. She turned. Damien was on the ground. Blood bloomed across his white dress shirt, spreading like ink in water. He'd thrown himself between her and the bullets. No. The word came out tiny. Broken. No, no, no. Lila ran back to him, her knees hitting concrete. Her hands found the wound. So much blood, you idiot, she sobbed. You stupid lying idiot. Damien's hand found hers, warm and slick with blood. Not lying. About you. Never about you. The van was backing up, coming for another pass. Stay with me, Lila begged. Please, Damien, stay with me. His eyes were already starting to glaze. Run, please, just run. A new sound cut through the rain. Sirens, multiple vehicles converging on their location. The van sped away. Lila pressed her hands against Damien's wound, trying to stop the bleeding, trying to keep him alive, trying to undo the last 5 minutes, the last hour, the last 3 years. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. Police cars surrounded them. Doors opening, voices shouting. Someone pulling her away from Damien's body, but she kept her eyes on him. On the man who'd loved her, used her, saved her. As the paramedics worked, as someone wrapped a blanket around her shoulders, as the world dissolved into chaos and noise, Lila saw something in Damien's coat pocket, an envelope. Her name written on it in his handwriting. She reached for it with trembling fingers. The sacrifice. The hospital waiting room smelled of antiseptic and old coffee. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting everything in a sickly yellow glow. Lila sat in a plastic chair, Damien's blood dried brown on her hands and dress, the envelope clutched against her chest. She hadn't opened it yet. Couldn't. Miss Hayes? A man in a gray suit approached, FBI badge clipped to his belt. His face was weathered, tired, the face of someone who'd seen too much. I'm Special Agent Carson. I need to ask you some questions. Is he alive? Her voice sounded distant, like it belonged to someone else. He's in surgery. That's all I know. Carson sat down beside her. We've been working with Mr. Cross for 6 months. His cover was compromised 3 days ago. We told him to abort, but he insisted on going through with the wedding. Why? He said he had one more play. One chance to get the evidence we needed to bring down the entire Ashford network. Carson paused. He didn't tell us that play involved you. Lila looked down at the envelope. Her name in Damien's careful handwriting. I don't understand. The Ashfords have been untouchable for 15 years. Every investigation dies. Every witness disappears. Every piece of evidence vanishes. We needed someone on the inside who couldn't be compromised. Someone they trusted completely. The pieces started falling into place. Terrible, inevitable pieces. Victoria, Lila whispered. Carson nodded. Victoria Ashford has been our informant for 2 years. She approached us after she discovered what her family really did. The wedding was her idea. Get Damien into the family, give him access to everything, and then what? Then fake his death. Make the Ashfords think they'd won, while Victoria fed us information from the inside. Lila's hands tightened on the envelope. So the confession. Stopping the wedding. That wasn't part of the plan. No, that was all Damien. Carson's expression softened. He threw away 2 years of work. Blew up an operation that cost the FBI millions. Put Victoria in danger. All because he couldn't go through with lying to you anymore. That's insane. That's love, Miss Hayes. The words hit her like a punch. She thought about Damien on the ground, bleeding. The way he'd thrown himself between her and the bullets. The way he'd looked at her in the cathedral. You said his cover was compromised 3 days ago, she said slowly. How? Carson hesitated. Tell me. Someone inside the investigation leaked information to the Ashfords. We still don't know who, but whoever it was, they told the family that Damien was FBI, that Victoria was working with us, that the whole thing was a setup. Lila's blood went cold. Then Victoria is missing. We lost contact with her 6 hours ago. The world tilted. Lila stood, pacing, trying to think through the horror. They took her. The Ashfords took their own daughter. Probably. We have to find her. We're trying, but without Damien's testimony, without the evidence he was supposed to secure, we have nothing. The case is dead. Lila looked down at the envelope again. Slowly, she opened it. Inside was a USB drive and a handwritten letter. Lila, if you're reading this, then I'm either dead or I've finally found the courage to tell you the truth. I hope it's the latter. I'm betting it's the former. The drive contains everything. Financial records, shipping manifests, communications, video evidence. 2 years of investigation. Everything needed to destroy the Ashford empire, and everyone connected to it. I'm giving it to you because you're the only person I trust. Not the FBI, not Victoria. You. I know you'll do the right thing. Even if it means turning it over to the authorities. Even if it means my sacrifice was for nothing. But there's something else on this drive. Something I need you to see before you make that choice. I'm sorry for everything. For the lies. For Marcus Chen. For loving you in a way that put you in danger. If I don't make it, know that the confession at the altar was the only true thing I've said in 2 years. I love you. I've always loved you. And I'd make the same choice again. Damien Lila's vision blurred. She wiped at her eyes angrily, then looked at Carson. I need a computer. 20 minutes later, she sat in an FBI conference room, the USB drive plugged into a secure laptop. Carson stood behind her as files loaded onto the screen. Financial records, shell companies, wire transfers, everything Carson had described. But there was also a video file, dated 3 days ago. Labeled insurance, Lila clicked it. The video showed Damien in what looked like a hotel room. His face was drawn, exhausted. He looked directly at the camera. This is for Lila Hayes, his recorded voice said. If you're watching this, then I'm probably dead, and you're trying to decide what to do with the evidence I've collected. Before you make that choice, you need to know the whole truth. On screen, Damien took a breath. 2 years ago, I received a call from Richard Ashford. He told me that his daughter Victoria wanted to expose the family business, that she needed help from someone with resources and connections, someone who could get the FBI involved without getting her killed. Lila's hands clenched. He told me about Marcus Chen, about the journalist who'd gotten too close. And he gave me a choice. Help cover up Marcus's murder, help make it look like an accident, and he'd give me access to Victoria, to everything I needed to bring him down. The video Damien's face twisted with pain. I said yes. I helped them stage Marcus's death. I used my company's connections to make sure the investigation went nowhere, and I've lived with that choice every day since. Beside Lila, Carson swore softly. But here's what Richard Ashford didn't know, the video continued. Marcus Chen was already dead when he called me. He'd already been killed. The Ashfords were testing me, trying to see if I'd be complicit, if I'd be loyal. Lila's breath caught. I said yes because I knew if I said no, Victoria would die next. And with her would die any chance of stopping them. So I became complicit in one murder to prevent hundreds more. The video Damien leaned forward. That's who I am, Lila. Someone who makes terrible choices for what I tell myself are good reasons. Someone who carries guilt like a second skin. Someone who doesn't deserve your love but can't stop wanting it anyway. There was a pause, then softer. I'm giving you this evidence because you deserve the truth. All of it. What you do with it is your choice. Turn it over to the FBI, destroy it. Use it as leverage. Whatever you decide, I'll understand. The video ended. Lila sat frozen, staring at the blank screen. Behind her, Carson was already on his phone, barking orders. We can use this, he said. The confession about Marcus Chen, it's not ideal, but combined with the financial records, where would the Ashfords take Victoria? Lila interrupted. Carson stopped. What? You said she's missing. Where would they take her? We don't know. Could be anywhere. A safe house, a private airfield, out of the country by now. No. Lila stood, her mind racing. They wouldn't take her far. Not if they think Damien might still be alive. Not if they think he might come for her. Miss Hayes? The cathedral. They'd take her back to the cathedral. Carson frowned. That's too exposed. Too public. Exactly. It's the last place anyone would look. And it's symbolic. The place where everything fell apart. Where else would Richard Ashford make his stand? Carson studied her face. You're guessing. I'm betting. Lila grabbed the USB drive. And I'm going to need that back. Absolutely not. That's federal evidence. Then I guess you'll have to arrest me. She walked toward the door. Carson moved to block her path. Miss Hayes, you're emotionally compromised. You're not thinking clearly. Let us handle this. Damien threw away everything for me, Lila said quietly. His investigation, his safety, his life. I'm not letting Victoria die because I played it safe. This is insane. Probably. She met his eyes. But I'm going. With your help or without it? Carson stared at her for a long moment. Then he sighed and pulled out his phone. "I'm going to regret this," he muttered. "But if you're right about the cathedral, we'll need tactical teams. Body armor. A plan. We'll also need a distraction." "What kind of distraction?" Lila looked down at her ruined bridesmaid dress, Damien's blood still staining the silk. "The kind that makes Richard Ashford think he's won." Behind them, a doctor entered the waiting room, surgical mask pulled down around his neck. "Is anyone here for Damien Cross?" Lila's heart stopped. "He's out of surgery. Critical but stable. He's asking for someone named Lila." She ran. Damien looked smaller in the hospital bed. Tubes and wires connected him to machines that beeped steadily, monitoring his survival. His face was pale against white sheets, but his eyes were open. "Clear. Alive. You came back," he whispered. Lila stood in the doorway, afraid that if she moved closer, the fragile reality of him breathing would shatter. "You're an idiot. I know. You took a bullet for me. I know. After lying to me. Using me. Planning to use me as your escape route." Damien's expression crumbled. "I know, Lila, I know what I did. I know what I am. And I know I don't deserve Victoria's alive." She cut him off. "The Ashfords have her at the cathedral. Carson's assembling a tactical team. We're going in tonight." He tried to sit up. Pain flashed across his face. "You can't. It's a trap. Richard will be expecting. He'll be expecting you." Lila finally moved closer, her voice steady. "He'll be expecting the FBI. He won't be expecting me." "No, absolutely not. I have the USB drive. All your evidence. And I watched your video." She pulled the letter from her pocket. "I know about Marcus Chen, the real story." Damien closed his eyes. "Then you know I'm exactly what you thought I was. Someone who makes terrible choices." "Someone who makes impossible choices," Lila corrected. "There's a difference, is there?" She sat on the edge of his bed, careful not to jostle his wounds. "I've spent the last 6 hours thinking about that. About you, about what you did and why you did it. And I realized something." "What?" "I would have made the same choice. If it meant stopping the Ashfords, if it meant saving hundreds of lives, I would have let Marcus Chen die too." Damien's eyes opened, searching her face. "That doesn't make it right." "No, but it makes it real." She took his hand, felt his pulse flutter against her palm. "You're not a hero. You're not a villain. You're just someone trying to do the right thing in a world where the right thing costs everything. Lila, and I love you anyway." The words came out steady, certain. "Not because you're perfect. Because you're not. But because when it mattered, when everything was on the line, you chose me. You could have run, could have saved yourself. But you took those bullets instead." A tear traced down Damien's cheek. "I can't ask you to forgive me. I'm not forgiving you. I'm choosing you." She squeezed his hand. "There's a difference." His fingers tightened around hers. "Don't go to the cathedral, please. Let Carson handle it. Victoria saved your life by bringing you into this investigation. I'm not letting her die for it. Then I'm coming with you. You can't even sit up. Watch me." He tried. Pain whitened his face. The monitors screamed. A nurse burst through the door, pushing Lila aside, checking vitals. "Sir, you need to stay down," the nurse ordered. "You're going to tear your stitches." Damien ignored her, his eyes locked on Lila. "Don't do this. Please. I just got you back. I can't lose you. You won't." Lila backed toward the door. "Because I'm coming back. With Victoria. And then we're going to figure out what comes next. Lila. I love you. Damien Cross. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life reminding you that you're worth saving too." She walked out before he could argue, before her courage could fail. In the hallway, Carson waited with body armor and a grim expression. "Ready?" he asked. "No, but let's go anyway." The cathedral was dark when they arrived. Midnight had come and gone, taking the storm with it. Stars pierced the sky above the bell tower. The shattered stained glass window gaped like a wound. Carson's team surrounded the building. Snipers on rooftops, tactical units at every entrance, but Lila walked through the front door alone, the USB drive in her pocket, her hands raised. "Richard Ashford," she called into the darkness. "I have what you want. Let's talk." Lights blazed on. Lila blinked against the sudden brightness. Richard Ashford stood at the altar where his daughter should have been married. Silver-haired, elegant in a suit that probably cost more than Lila's car. Victoria knelt beside him, hands zip-tied, face bruised but defiant. Miss Hayes. Richard's smile was cold. How predictable. Though I expected Damien to send you with a wire. Damien's dead. The lie came easily. He died in surgery 2 hours ago. Something flickered across Richard's face. Satisfaction. He believed her. Then this is a wasted trip. Without his testimony, you have nothing. I have the evidence. Everything Damien collected. Every transaction, every email, every dirty secret. Lila pulled out the USB drive. I'll trade it for Victoria. You think I'm stupid enough to let you walk out of here? I think you're smart enough to know that if I don't walk out of here, this drive goes straight to the FBI. Every news outlet in the country. WikiLeaks. Everyone. Richard studied her. You're bluffing. This is the only copy. Wrong! Lila smiled. I uploaded everything to the cloud before I came here. Time-delayed release. If I don't enter a code every hour, it goes public automatically. It was a complete lie. But Richard didn't know that. What do you want? He asked finally. Victoria. Alive. Unharmed. In exchange, I'll give you the drive and the access codes. You get to disappear. Start over. We both walk away. And the FBI? Doesn't need to know about this conversation. Richard considered. Behind him, Victoria's eyes widened, silently screaming no. All right, Richard said. He pulled out a knife, cut Victoria's restraints. Come here, daughter. Victoria stood slowly, then ran toward Lila. As she passed her father, Richard grabbed her arm. One more thing, he said softly. The person who leaked information about Damien's investigation. Who betrayed him to us? Do you want to know who it was? Lila's stomach dropped. Who? Richard smiled. Victoria, the world stopped. No, Victoria whispered. Father, please tell her, Richard commanded. Tell her how you were never really working with the FBI. How you fed them false information while giving me everything they planned. How you set up Damien from the beginning. Victoria's face crumbled. She turned to Lila, tears streaming. I didn't have a choice. He said he'd kill my mother, my little brother, everyone I loved if I didn't cooperate. So you sacrificed Damien instead, Lila said quietly. I thought he could handle it. Thought he was smart enough to survive. I didn't know. Victoria's voice broke. I didn't know he'd fall in love with you. That he'd throw everything away. The betrayal cut deeper than any bullet. Lila looked at the woman she'd risked everything to save. The woman who'd betrayed the man she loved. Give me the drive, Richard said, holding out his hand. Lila stared at him. At Victoria, at the altar where Damien had confessed his love 6 hours and a lifetime ago. She thought about Marcus Chen, about impossible choices, about the price of trying to do the right thing in a world built on compromises. Then she dropped the USB drive and crushed it under her heel. No, she said. Richard's face went purple. You stupid girl. You just killed us both. Maybe, but you're coming with us. The cathedral doors burst open. Carson's tactical team flooded in, weapons raised, voices shouting commands. Richard reached for Victoria, trying to use her as a shield, but Lila was faster. She threw herself between them, taking Richard down with momentum and fury, and 3 years of pent-up rage. They hit the marble floor hard. Richard's head cracked against the altar steps. He went still, agents swarmed them. Someone pulled Lila away. Someone else cuffed Richard. Victoria collapsed, sobbing. Carson appeared at Lila's side. The drive? Destroyed. But I have a perfect memory. Every file name, every account number, every transaction. It's all up here. She tapped her temple. I'll testify. Give you everything. Carson's expression was unreadable. You just destroyed federal evidence. Sue me. I probably should. Then he smiled. But I won't. Good work, Miss Hayes. 2 hours later, Lila walked back into Damien's hospital room. He was awake, watching the door like he'd been waiting. Victoria? He asked. Safe. In FBI custody. Talking. Richard. Arrested. It's over. Damien closed his eyes. Then we did it. Not we. You. Lila sat beside him again. 2 years of your life. Everything you sacrificed. It mattered, did it? Marcus Chen's family will get justice. The weapons pipeline is shut down. Hundreds of lives will be saved. Yes, Damien, it mattered. He opened his eyes, looked at her. And us, do we matter? Lila took his hand. Victoria betrayed you. She was the leak. She set you up from the beginning. Pain flashed across his face. I know, Carson told me. While you were gone, you knew? And you didn't tell me? I couldn't. Not until you were safe. He squeezed her hand. I'm sorry. For everything. For all of it. Stop apologizing. Lila leaned closer. You took bullets for me. You threw away your life's work for me. You gave me the truth when it would have been easier to lie. That matters more than anything else. What happens now? Now? Lila smiled. Now we figure out who we are without the lies. Without the investigations and the danger and the impossible choices. Just us. I don't know who that is. Neither do I. But I want to find out. Damien pulled her closer, careful of his wounds. Their foreheads touched. I love you, Lila Hayes. That's the only thing I know for certain. I love you too. Even though you're a lying, manipulative, self-sacrificing idiot. Takes one to know one. She kissed him. Soft, careful, full of promise and pain and possibilities. When they broke apart, Damien was smiling. Really smiling. The first real smile she'd ever seen from him. So what do we do now? He asked. Lila looked around the sterile hospital room. At the machines keeping him alive. At the future stretching out before them. Uncertain and terrifying, and theirs. Now, she said. We start over. No lies, no games. Just two people trying to figure out what comes after the end. Sounds perfect. It sounds terrifying. That too. Outside, dawn broke over the city. Light spilled through the hospital window, painting everything in shades of gold and hope. They'd both made terrible choices. Both paid impossible prices. Both loved and lied, and nearly died for it. But they were alive. Together. And that was enough. 6 months later, Lila stood on a beach she didn't know the name of, in a country that didn't ask questions. The ocean stretched endless before her, waves crashing in steady rhythm. Damien walked up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist. The scar from his surgery was still visible above the collar of his shirt. A reminder. A price paid? Any regrets? He asked. She thought about the cathedral, the confession, the bullets and betrayals and everything they'd survived. Only one, she said. What's that? That I didn't tell you I loved you sooner. Could have saved us both a lot of trouble. Damien laughed. The sound was free. Real. Fair point. They stood there as the sun set, painting the sky in colors that had no names. Two people who'd loved and lied and learned that sometimes the right choice and the wrong choice were the same thing. And in the end, that was enough. The end